So it's about workflows and how good can you make those workflows and how well researched are those. And then it will cost you a $3-4 to publish a blog like that. Still cheaper than a writer.
When you have a really powerful product, whether you're going to publish on YouTube or on LinkedIn or something like that, but just like little walkthroughs and you're like fixing certain pain points that are like so easy for you to do with your product. But for some people, like as they search that or they have a certain pain point, they'll be like, wow. And then when we start working on their content strategies on LinkedIn, they don't see results in 1 month. They're like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. I'm like, I told you, this is a minimum 3-month commitment. You'll start seeing progress. The algorithm needs to know you're serious, right? You're watching Next Big Wave, the podcast for founders by founders in Southeast Asia. In this episode, we're going to talk about founder journeys, growth strategies, and much more. Just to help me out, if you could like and subscribe, it would be awesome. And let's get into the episode. On this episode of Next Big Wave, I have Tarun Jain on the podcast. Tyrone is the co-founder of Waxwing AI, who is also a fellow iterative founder. So Tyrone, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Tim. Nice to be here.
I'm super excited about this one because you're a fellow growth hacker. You have quite an extensive background, and I really want to dive into exactly your journey, how you become a founder, and learn about some of the growth strategies you've implemented in the past. So why don't you kind of tell me where you are from, who you are, and what made you become a founder, essentially, if you can kind of give us the rundown on your entire expertise. Your LinkedIn is pretty impressive, I have to say. There's a lot. You don't have to go into every single one of them, but definitely give us the high level version.
Yeah, I mean, I have done a lot of stuff in life like everybody else, but I think the entrepreneurial bug hit me when I was at a very early age. So I think I was 12-year-old or something when I was, fixing PCs and selling games, burning them on CDs and DVDs. So I think that I'm from that age. So yeah, I mean, that's how, it all started, I would say. By 19, I had started a social enterprise, which, has so far, I would say, reached to around 30,000 underprivileged children in India. So I was born in a small city in India. I had a pretty nice, childhood, doing all this stuff. I was fortunate enough to go to the best college in India, IIT. That gave me a lot of exposure to great mind, great people. I am a PhD dropout, so I was academically inclined initially. Just after my bachelor's, I got into a PhD in New Zealand. I dropped out of that to join a startup because at the end of the day, I wanted to, do something on my own or, be working in this high-paced, high-tech environment. So I think my journey started in 2014. I dropped out of PhD, came back and started a company in IoT. So the Internet of Things was hot back then. We started a company, like we were 5 people, we grew it to 70 people strong, took the product to the market. And that's where I learned most of my hard skills, right? So that was a 2-year journey, but those 2 years taught me pretty much everything I know about marketing and business development and sales and design and product and everything else, right? Hiring, etc., etc. After that, yeah, I mean, that didn't work out well. I mean, it was a failed startup at the end of the day. Happens.
Every now and then.
Yeah. So after that, yeah, I started consulting, startups across the world, as a growth hacker, then as a growth lead. I have been, again, fortunate to work with great founders in Singapore and US while working remotely. So I've been remote for the last 8 years. That was amazing. I mean, being remote allowed me to work as well as follow my passion, which is scuba diving. I'm a diving instructor. I was able to do a master's in marine biology. I lived in Thailand for 3 years, did my marine course there. And all the while I was, leading growth for some of the hottest tech companies out there.
That's super cool, dude. I'm also a fellow diver, just by the way.
I mean, yeah, cheers. That's why I think that's why you like Thailand.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a lot in Thailand, but definitely diving is good here.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my journey. And I mean, last year around this time is when, of course, AI, is the internet moment of our generation. That's what it felt like. Like, okay, it's going to change the world. It's going to change how we do everything. And yeah, it was a no-brainer at that point to just jump head first and, again, start my own company. So I was, again, I had a co-founder whom I've known for 14 years. He is an
Wow.
AI researcher. He was living in the US, working at Microsoft in the AI team. He has a bunch of AI publications. So, it just felt the right fit. He was looking for a co-founder. I wanted to
Mm,
start up. He wanted to start up. So it just, match made in heaven, and we just went, uh, you know, heads down working.
love it. And before I jump into what Waxwing is, I just have to point here, like you have this experience in Tampere, Finland. What's up with
Yeah.
that? Because I literally lived in that city for 4 years.
All right. So, I mean, yeah, I was just consulting a company called nonono.com, which
Okay,
is based out of Finland. So it
but
was
you
just,
never went there.
I never went there. Yeah, it was just
Okay,
remote. Yeah.
that's just a happy coincidence. Another
Yeah.
coincidence I noticed is you worked at Referral Candy. My second business was called Candy Banners. It's not often you see candy in the name of a
Okay.
company, so that caught my attention. But yeah,
All right.
jump into Waxwing because that's the meat of the topic. I want to hear all about it. It sounds super exciting, and yeah, if you don't mind giving us a high level, who is it built for? What does it do? And yeah.
All right. So let me put it this way, let me ask you a question. Like, we get all these ideas like, hey, why don't we start a subreddit, Tim, today? You're already doing a podcast. Why not also have a subreddit where we build a community? Or, like you're doing a session with me, why don't we do it as an AMA session, and invite more people and then, create short form videos out of those and then promote those. So all these ideas, if, why are you not doing it? So
Time,
what's stopping us? Yeah, time, right? And
of
bandwidth.
course.
And what we noticed is like most marketing teams or companies, any such idea to go from an idea to an actionable step, like the first actionable step taken by somebody in the team takes around 14 days on average. So
Hmm.
if today I discuss with my team, hey, I think we should try something on Reddit, maybe, go join 5 subreddits and try to engage with people there. From that idea to somebody actually doing it or taking the first step will take around 14 days on average. And that's the thing that Waxwing does in 3 minutes. So we have reduced those 14 days to 3 minutes. And that's what Waxwing does today, right? So any project idea you can think of, if it's something in your head, just put it down there and Waxwing will, personalize it, make it a detailed plane, break it in down to tasks. And for each task, if it has something to do with content, that will also be generated. So the first draft, everything is just out there within the first 3 minutes.
So then it's just a matter of creating the accounts, posting, etc. You don't integrate directly into the social platforms yet, right? It's more about
Yeah, yeah.
the ideation and the creation.
Planning. Yeah. So right now we do ideation and planning,
Hmm.
and next we get into execution. So that's how we look at the entire landscape. That you might have some goal or KPI in mind. We help you brainstorm. We recommend you strategies. You might have your own ideas. Next step is planning. It happens automatically. It's again personalized for your brand. We act as a central hub for intelligence about everything about your brand. The next
Hmm.
thing that we are building now is workflow automation. So I have made the plan for you. Now the plan we are converting into workflows, and then you can just review the workflow and then start executing them. And then we start building connectors and integrations.
Okay.
So the idea is that we believe the future of work is going to be remote, async,
Hmm.
and human and AI will be working together. So it will be a human on the loop system where human is just there to review every step of the process. But most of the tasks will be done by AI. And that's the future we are building towards.
I love it. I mean, I can definitely vouch for the fact that I use AI on a daily basis. It's kind of like in the direction of AI agents, what you're building,
It
right?
is.
Because I'm experimenting with a lot of AI agents. Absolutely love the concept, but it is sort of daunting sometimes that it's not that easy. Like there's a lot of complexity. If you're not
Yeah.
technical, a lot of the AI agents that I see are basically like code based, and you have to
Yes.
run them on Python and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, I haven't seen an extremely user friendly version of what you're describing. So, I'm
Yeah.
actually really curious to kind of check out a demo maybe after this call or at some point
For
in the
sure.
future. And I mean, you're probably going to give me some use cases, but ideally, who's an ideal typical customer? Like, are you working with startups? Is it for like enterprise? What is it for specifically?
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you're a B2B startup founder in Southeast Asia, struggling to grow your startup, we have a whole community of founders just like you. And on a weekly basis, we discuss strategies and growth hacks. We'd love to have you amongst us. Feel free to join at nextbigwave.co or find the link in the description. I'll see you there.
So yeah, let me give you some recent user success stories like that I came to know about. So there's this one user, her name is LT Bailey. She is from US. She is a self-publisher of book, right? So she
Mm-hmm.
recently published her own book called Bridging Between, and she came to our platform. She signed up, and from signing up to having two projects completely outsourced, it only took her 32 minutes. So she came, she signed up, took around 10 minutes to sign up and onboard and everything. And our AI recommended her some ideas, project ideas. She liked two of them. Our AI
Mm-hmm.
generated plan. She liked those plans, and then she just outsourced those entire things to someone on Fiverr, and that
Okay.
happened in 32 minutes, right? So she had two projects. One of them was a partnership outreach project for her. She
Yeah.
wanted to partner with healing companies, etc., for her book. And the second project was around her followers and audience on social media, doing a UGC campaign. And both of those projects were executed for her. Similarly,
Do you
there's an
measure
agency. Yeah.
success?
Not
Sorry.
right now. Not right now.
Okay.
Yeah. that's
Okay.
that's part of the roadmap. We want to so it's actually very interesting that you brought it here. uh, you know, Knowing that, hey, this strategy for this industry, you can expect this kind of outcome. This data actually does not exist other than the case studies made by marketers. So
Right.
no company actually has this data other than what case studies have been made. But this is the data we are trying to capture from day zero on our platform. So
Mm-hmm.
if we are actually able to capture, like, hey, you came to a platform, these are the plans you made, and then what was the outcome on KPI? Because our AI actually defines the KPI for each task.
Mm-hmm.
If we can connect it to that, then we have some really, really amazing proprietary data that can be used to retrain the recommendation engine.
And this is a purely selfish question, but would this product be suitable for someone like me saying, I'm a solo founder right now,
Yeah,
I'm building this program. There are programs like the one I built that are gigantic, right?
yeah,
They're turning millions per year. I describe my situation and I say, look, help me grow this program. And
yeah.
it's going to basically give me some ideas and help me execute them, because that would be fantastic. I'd love kind of an assistant like that.
I mean, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. So it will, any idea you can think of, you can brainstorm, or any idea of your own, you can just write it there, and within 3 minutes, you will have the exact step-by-step plan of what to do with the best practices. Uh, and then you also have the co-pilot if you have more questions about a specific task, right? So it does help you in ideation and planning today.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of execution, yeah, like the agents, as you said, are still not there yet,
Yeah.
that they can just take over and execute
Mm-hmm.
something for you. But that's what the future looks like, though. I mean, we are building for that future. We are building agents. We are building workflows. Hopefully soon, we will be able to even execute them for you.
Yeah, and for anyone who's listening and is kind of dabbling with AI, how do you differentiate yourself from GPT, for example? People will be like, "Well, I can just use GPT for that." Like,
Yeah,
what models are you built on, and why is yours so much more powerful?
yeah. So best way to look at any AI is garbage in, garbage out, right? So it's all about the context. So the game has changed drastically. Now everybody has access to AI. So AI is democratized, right? So the only difference between you and me using the same AI is the context we make available to it. That is what defining the output,
Mm-hmm.
right? So me and my competitor both have access to AI, like the best LLM out there, but the output is still very, very different because of the input that you give, the prompt engineering that you do, the retrieval that you do, how many documents are you copy pasting from the context, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can be doing this using ChatGPT if you're really, really great at prompt engineering, if you're really, really meticulous about keeping store of all the context for each specific business or the task. Like every time you want to think about target audience, right? That's like first principles, right? Never forget about who your users are, what their persona is. Now
Mm-hmm.
we have fed that in every step. But if you remember to do that when you're talking to ChatGPT every time, great, you can, right? And then it's about prompt chaining. When you talk to ChatGPT, you might do a 20 chat, 30 chat. If you're really, really good, right, you might be talking to it 30 times, 40 times to get the final output.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't. So yes, if you're an AI expert, I would say you can do it using ChatGPT. It will still take you more time. It will not take you 3 minutes. It will take
Mm-hmm.
you 30 minutes to get the same result. With Waxwing, we kind of have these workflows already pre-built, and then on top of that, we have our own proprietary data of strategies that have worked for us. So we have taken these case studies and built a database from which our AI is able to retrieve. So we build on a top of foundational model like Gemini 1.5 Pro, and then we give it this access to a database which it can retrieve from, along with a lot of set workflows around prompt chaining and prompt engineering, which is already done for you.
Cool. And so I'm curious about, you're talking about models, you're talking about all that, like all that has a pretty big cost. So how early are you in the business? Have you raised before iterative? Like what's your journey so far in the business?
So yeah, I mean, iterative was a first raise. So
Okay.
we raised with iterative last year in November is when we got money in the bank. We were pretty early into their last batch. And since then we were just building. We launched a product on 2nd of May. So it's only
Okay.
been what 2.5 months or so of
Mm-hmm.
the actual product being in the market. The product launch was amazing. We were product of the day, product of the week, and product of the month in AI and marketing on Product Hunt. So that gave
Sweet.
us a lot of
Congrats.
users. Yeah, thanks. I mean, that was really, really good. I mean, Product Hunt has been really great for us. We got around 2,000 plus users in the first month just because of Product Hunt. And then we started monetizing it. Yes. Now we have paying users. Again, pretty pre-revenue, I would say, but I mean, 1 to 2K is pre-revenue for practical purposes. So we
Mm-hmm.
are growing our MRR now. We have some paying users. In terms of the cost, it's amazing or it's great that companies like Google will give you a lot of credits. So we
Mm,
have 350K USD credits for
that's
AI.
crazy. Mm,
So infra cost is not the problem right now. So, but we are looking at the unit economics of AI, and that's the thing. Like once you start getting into the complexity of workflows, and once you start getting into like for writing a blog, I know people don't like AI writing blog, but let me
mm-hmm.
still put it out there. If you are following a 50, 60 step workflow, the blog output is actually good, even with AI. If you're actually following a workflow where AI is doing the research for you, is meticulously pulling data from SEMrush, thinking of keyword, deciding the topic, writing an outline for each outline, again doing Google search, finding out 10 blogs, taking it in account, putting out link. And if that's the process you're following, the actual output you get is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about workflows and how good can you make those workflows and how well researched are those. And then, yeah, I mean, it costs AI credits, like, there's money involved. So it will cost you a $3, $4 or $5 to publish a blog like that. But
Still
then
cheaper
again,
than a writer.
it's still cheaper than a writer. Yeah.
Does it handle internal linking as well, this system, or not?
It can. So, I mean, that again depends on the workflows and how nicely do you make them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. Like right now, it's still in the, as you said, it's still technical in nature, so not everybody can do it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what with Waxwing we are trying to solve. So the AI that we are building is the one which can make these workflows. So that's the core technology that we are building, right? That
Okay.
how can these workflows creation be automated?
And so you acquired 2,000 users in May, roughly.
Yeah.
Where are you at right now? Because I'm
So
assuming you're growing still.
So we have around like 4K free users, and now we have started monetizing. So I mean, we still have a free plan, but then we
Mm-hmm.
have gone strong with our monetization. We have really limited the credits, AI credits that we give to our free
Mm-hmm.
users. In terms of paying users, we only have around 50.
Okay.
So it's a
And what's your
huge jump, right?
price point is around?
It starts at $19 a month,
Okay.
and
So it's fairly affordable.
it is very affordable. We have a couple of enterprise clients or agency clients who pay us more because of they have more users. They
Sure.
serve multiple clients through a single platform, so they pay $250, $300 a month.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
that kind of a plan for you to go more into like the B2B side of things instead of individuals using it?
So what we are, so I mean, again, of course, we are a startup, so we figure these things out as we
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in terms of the ICP, uh, initially when we started, we were doing founder-led sales, so it was all
Yeah.
B2B. It's like you're trying to sell to big companies, of course.
Yeah.
But then we realized after the product hunt launch that hey, solopreneurs and like these self-publisher of books. So interestingly, like self-publisher of books in US were our first 5 paying users were those. Like
Okay.
somehow they found they were a small community, they found our tool and then they just loved it and they passed along, and some of them even bought the annual plan. And we were like, wow, we never thought that, who thinks about authors, like self publishers of books, who even thinks about them as an audience?
Yeah,
So
I mean, there's so many things that are
yeah,
abstract to you until you
yeah,
hear it. It's kind of funny. And
yeah.
that kind of made me think of a couple of things. You mentioned the annual plan. So have you explored things where like AppSumo that offer lifetime access to deals and stuff like that or not as a growth hack?
So AppSumo I mean, they reached out to us for the select program. It was such a hard question for a founder. So they reached out to us at a nice time. Like we were thinking, yeah, this will give us a great boost. But their
Hmm.
deal is so bad.
Tell me
Like,
about it because
yeah,
I'm a power user of AppSumo, but
yeah,
I haven't actually leveraged it for any
yeah.
of my clients or anything like that. So I'm curious, what was the deal like?
So they take 80% of the cut, right? So
Okay.
80% of the sales goes to AppSumo. You only get 20%.
Hmm.
On top of that, you're offering a lifetime deal.
Yeah.
So, and they like a $19 a month goes to like, okay, $49 for lifetime deal all of a sudden, and you are
Hmm.
only getting 20% of it. So the economics used to work for SaaS, but don't work for AI companies, right?
Well, the way I've seen it, because
Yeah,
I do have some AppSumo
yeah,
lifetime deals that are AI related, and they offer you a lifetime deal with a cap on credits per month. And
credits.
if you want to upgrade
Exactly.
it, you can upgrade it. So
Yeah,
I'm sure some companies have made it work.
yeah.
But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, so I mean, we also thought about it, especially because we had the Google credits. So we were like, yeah, fine, we can get this initial boost. But then we, of course, leveraged, in the iterative community also, we asked other people, what do you think about it? We were really in double-minded about it. Like, we wanted to do it,
Hmm.
but then we were hearing some bad stories, like, uh, some of the AppSumo users like really require a lot of attention. They will use every feature and they will put so many bug requests and customer requests that you will, for the next 3 months, you will be just dealing with those. And you're like,
Mm.
okay. So all those things combined, we decided to not go with AppSumo, and also AppSumo has an exclusivity contract. So if you do AppSumo, you can't do anything else for I think a couple of years,
Oh wow.
any other
Okay.
LTD deal. So we were like, okay, the criteria was very restrictive, and if
Hmm.
you go under, like if the company shuts down, they own the source code.
Really?
Yeah, which was also like for us like I don't know.
I
So
was wondering how because they're also delivering a lot of products themselves, right?
yeah,
Home products, which I use. I love them, but they're
yeah,
so damn cheap. And I wonder if they just acquired
yeah,
the source code and then just released it and then made
yeah,
100% of the proceeds.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of thought that goes into doing an AppSumo kind of deal, but then there are other companies like Deal Fuel, or I think there are other who are a little more lenient, but then you don't get that much traction. So with
Hmm.
AppSumo, you can expect minimum 3,000, 4,000 lifetime deals you can sell within a couple of months, right?
Right.
Which is great. Like you get paying 3,000, 4,000 paying users. It's great for early traction. So
Yeah.
if I was looking for test users, it would be perfect. But
Hmm.
we were at a point where we already had 3,000 free users.
Yeah.
I already had enough test users testing my platform that I was not looking for test users anymore. But yeah, if
Mm.
people are out there who has just launched, they just want this initial 3,000 users to tell them bugs, help them fix the product, help them build the product. AppSumo is amazing. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I would still like think twice about, LTD deal.
Okay. So then my follow-up question, which was unrelated to AppSumo, but you mentioned like that somehow your core paying customers early on were these writers or
Yeah.
self-published writers. Did that kind of start making you think about growth hacks around that, and what did you come up with to capture more of these apparently great customers?
Yeah, I mean, so it was interesting. Like we thought, okay, we were not targeting solopreneurs.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, we're like, okay. And then we got more. So we had this authors, and then we had some event planners in Canada, wedding planners in Canada using our platform. And again, buying annual plan for some reason. I mean, I never thought like, why would someone buy annual plan? We just launched, it's just
Yeah,
our MVP.
it must have been like so cheap compared to your competitors. You might have missed
Yeah,
something.
I don't know. So yeah, it was just interesting to us. And then we like our whole focus was MSMEs. startups, MSMBs, doing all that. And we had this new audience who is just, giving us some, love and money. So yes, we thought about, how do we reach out to them? We did some growth hacks. One of the growth hacks we have been doing for the last couple of weeks is that we have launched something called Waxwing Hub, which is similar to SimilarWeb or SEMrush. So we basically make, so we take 100 companies every day who we want to target, reach out to. So you were talking about outbound also, like earlier in before the call, right? How outbound is dying. So what we are doing is that we take these 100 URLs. Some of them are solopreneurs, some of them are small businesses, and we just make public pages about their audience, their business, their strategies, what they should be doing, and we just make it public. It helps with our SEO. So if somebody is searching their small company name plus anything like related to marketing, user persona, or whatever, geography, demographics, we can show up. And the second thing we do is then we send these personalized URLs to the founders through LinkedIn automation and cold email outreach. Cool. This is what we started. And then we realized, hey, people don't want to look at their own audience profile or their own strategy. They want to look at their competitors' strategy. So then now we are trying to, send them their competitors' URLs.
That's cool. And what's the response on that? How's it going?
Some of like the initial response has been good on LinkedIn. Some people were like really impressed by that, it's personalized, that it's not just like a cold outreach. At least we have given them some value. Still, I mean, our open rate is like, I think it's good. 20% for cold email is, I think, pretty good. So yeah, I mean, it's decent. Like out of the 100, I would say we get like 5 to 6 signups, 5% conversion. Yeah,
that's not bad. That's not bad. And the reason I was asking about growth hacks, because you mentioned this very, very niche sort of KPI or persona, like self-published writers, event planners, whatever. Is there a way to capture them in things like you talked about subreddits, Facebook communities? Like there must be ways to kind of go after that specific niche and audience and leverage these champions already and kind of incentivize them to help you out to penetrate these communities. Have you looked into that?
Yeah, so just before this call, this Facebook group, I mean, these people are active on Facebook groups. Just before this call, I got a few replies because again, if you're doing it through communities, you have to be genuine at some point.
Absolutely.
The beauty is you can be genuine with AI. It's just, I know people still might be like, hey, no, you should not be posting using AI, but no, you can. If you're good at prompt engineering, you actually can. I made some posts, like you just go to these pages, I look the problems that people are having. I just take those problems, feed into a automated workflow that I already have made on our product, and just my product give me the output. I just review it and just post it. It saves me a lot of time, but people actually get value out of it. So you have to understand these self-published or children book are not that tech friendly or active. They don't know how to use ChatGPT to solve their problem. That's why they're posting it on Facebook.
Right.
I mean, it's simple questions. They are asking on Facebook. They could have asked ChatGPT, but they didn't. And I can give them a much better response than ChatGPT in bullet points, and it looks very human, very genuine, and they like it. And yeah.
But how do you convert that into them finding out about your product? Because you're bringing the value, so you're building that authority. But then how do you convert them?
So it's very slow. It's painstakingly slow, I would say, in communities. It's like you have to become the top contributor, like genuinely, become a champion in the community, and then people just start figuring it out themselves by looking at your profile and seeing you every now and then. They start figuring out what you do. So it has to be very natural in communities, but there are other ways, which is to do partnership. So these communities have small groups, and they do invite you, like you have invited me here on a podcast. I have been invited to do podcasts around marketing for authors by these small groups, like 15, 20 people on a Zoom call. And, I'm just talking about marketing hacks and growth tactics for what authors can use. And that gives us direct traction, direct sign up.
So like mini seminars or webinars or whatever.
Yeah.
And what about, I haven't checked, sorry, your YouTube channel. Are you active on YouTube or not?
No, I'm not. No, not like personally. Yeah.
It seems like an obvious win for me to have when you have a really powerful product, whether you're going to publish on YouTube or on LinkedIn or something like that, but just like little walkthroughs, and you're like fixing certain pain points that are like so easy for you to do with your product. But for some people, like as they search that or they have a certain pain point, they'll be like, wow, like I can do that. And I think like if you keep posting like 20 minute videos on a weekly basis about solving specific pain points, that's a type of top funnel that you could sort of, well, that really good top funnel basically, like that you don't have to manage anymore. It's evergreen at the end of the day.
Yeah, we did start it on Instagram. So we started making reels on Instagram. Again, I mean, this is a very competitive space, MarTech and in AI. But yeah, we do Instagram reels. We have been trying to get into TikTok. It's a little bit hard because it's banned in India right now. So I like when I'm in Thailand, I can, but when I'm here, I can't. So, but TikTok is great actually. It has worked for a lot of companies.
I think TikTok is better for this type of reel, more educational reels, because Instagram is more glamorous lifestyle, and all that. Yeah, lifestyle. So I've seen a lot of really good SMEs build like demo videos and like have reviewers review the demo videos and all that. Like you can build viral loops around that as well. So yeah, TikTok for sure, but more long form sort of Loom style, you know, you're working, building workflows and stuff in your app. I think that would work really well on YouTube. It's actually something that I'm going to start working on myself. So the podcast is part of my channel, but I want to also start walking through the different playbooks that I have, success stories, case studies with students and stuff like that. I think that's really good value. People get to see how it works, like the nitty gritty, and like if they don't want to have to relearn, they can follow it as a tutorial almost. You know, I think that those are really valuable.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the future. Like marketing has been anyway shifting to content. Like it's happening everywhere. Even performance marketing, I would say, is mostly about the content at this point, like the real creatives that you use.
Yeah. It's just hard to break through the noise, right? It takes a while, and it's funny because I work with founders all the time, and founders are like sharp, they're smart, they know things, they're on the cutting edge of things. And then when we start working on their content strategies on LinkedIn, they don't see results in 1 month. They're like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. I'm like, I told you, this is a minimum 3-month commitment. You'll start seeing progress. The algorithm needs to know you're serious, right? Why would it push you to people when you're just going to give up in a month? So keep at it, keep bringing value. Even if you get a little bit of engagement, at least usually if you have the right strategy on LinkedIn, it's going to be your ICP. So even if you get a few engagements, like start a conversation with people who engaged. That's like an authentic conversation in the DMs after they've engaged is going to lead to something. And people lose patience the same way, you know, you talked about these communities on Facebook, like it takes time.
It takes
all
time.
Good things take time. Like everyone wants a shortcut.
So I mean, thankfully, like I mean, so that's the next thing. So actually, you know, the first roadblock is to taking the first step. Like, you know, putting that first content out is a roadblock, right? But then the second roadblock is doing it consistently. Our product helps you with the first roadblock, but it still doesn't help you with being consistent about it. And hopefully we can solve that to, you know, make some workflows that constantly remind you, you know, send your notification every week. Hey, Tim, it's time to push this post out there.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm really torn because, of course, you know, you want to schedule everything because it's hard to be right there when the notification comes up, because also the algorithms like consistency on timing, right? But then you get penalized for using third-party schedulers and stuff. So it's like you have to be always available for all things. And of course, as a founder or CEO, even though you can talk yourself into understanding there is a lot of value into it, you have so many other things like fires to put out, right? So it's a tough game. But I mean, if Elon Musk can successfully be on Twitter, can be on podcasts, can be on this, I think all of us can achieve it. It's a matter of mindset.
It is. It's all about context switching. There's just so much going on, and it's like, you know, compartmentalizing is painful. It's not easy.
So I want to hear about your experience with Iterative. What are your thoughts on the program?
I mean, if you're building in Southeast Asia, I don't think there's a better accelerator than Iterative. If you are building in US, probably you can think twice. I
Yeah,
would
of
say.
course. I don't think they'd
Yeah,
invest in you.
yeah.
Period.
No, no, they might. I mean, so even if you're building from Southeast Asia for US audience, uh, it's good, but there might be things which are better. Of course, YC is the best in that scenario, I would say. So
Right.
it depends on your audience, your ICP, and
Hmm.
everything else. But yeah, if you are in Southeast Asia, building for Southeast Asia, it's a no-brainer.
Hmm.
For all other scenarios, yes, you have to weigh your options. But iterative, I would say the partners Sue and Brian, they are the best in
Hmm.
terms of personal feedback and like being there for you. So even in the bigger programs like YC, Techstars, etc., they have that exposure to the Europe or US markets. But again, the partner and the hand holding might not be as good as iterative, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And what's your biggest takeaway from the?
I mean, launch as soon as you can. So I think that's
Okay.
the as I said, the number one roadblock for most startups is launching.
Hmm.
Letting go of your baby out there in the wild world, like let people see it in its
Don't
ugliest
be
form.
scared. Yeah,
Yeah, it is scary though. I mean, I remember
it's
we joined
scary.
the
I know.
program and we took more than we should have taken to, actually bring our product out there in hands of people. But yeah, launch as early as you can. I think that's the number one takeaway. And then, yeah, the program is good. If you actually launch and then keep focusing on metrics, it actually helps you. So I think that's what Iterative helped us with. It just every week talking to them gave us that ticking clock on top of our head
Hmm.
that, hey, we have to launch. Hey, we have to do this now. Otherwise, you can take your own sweet time, keep building, building, building. So
Yeah,
yeah,
fine tuning, but really
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And for founders out there who, well, I have a few for founders out there, but let's say we're talking about launching. So a lot of people, they get stuck in building features, right? But also people fear that no one's going to want to use their product, right? So how did you ever have that fear of like, I have to launch and then, oh, no one's signing up? Like, how did you feel about that, or how did you overcome that?
I mean, it happens even now. I mean, even when we have users using us daily, sometimes you question your product. It's very
Hmm.
natural, I would say, to question your own product and think like, is it really good? Is it really that good? Is it
Mm.
really helping people? So, yeah, I mean, self-doubt is there. You just have to overcome it, but it comes and goes. So I would say, when we launched, of course, there's an anxiety that, hey, we are launching. Will people like it? Will people use it? What will people say? But then, when the first person signed up by themselves, it's just amazing. It feels like a drug at that point. Like, wow, we had our first sign up. And then within 2 days, you're like, oh, okay, now, signups don't matter anymore. Oh, the first user, is activated. And then you move on from there to, hey, we had our first paying user. Like, wow, it's like time to party. We had our first $19. And then very quickly you're like, okay, you move on. So within weeks, your metrics shift, right? And
Yep.
uh, you have your downs, but you also have your ups. And when you the first paying user comes, like it's just an amazing feeling, when people, and then the first review rolls in by themselves on a public platform, and you're like, wow, somebody gave us a review.
That's
So
amazing.
I think these small wins, you should not forget. Like
Yep.
four months ago, I had none of these, right? So, and now 4 months later, I have paying users, I have reviews. So yeah, that's what it is.
Love it. And then, so is that basically, if you'd had to say what's your favorite thing about being a founder? Is it kind of seeing your baby grow? What is it about it? Is it the freedom? Because like, apparently, you travel a lot. You're quite remote.
Yeah.
So yeah, what would be the best thing about being a founder to you?
Uh, that's a hard one, because I've been questioning myself, is it good to be a founder? But
That means you're a
uh,
good founder. If you're questioning yourself, like we're always in self doubt.
yeah. I mean, so the remote part and the life part, I would say it was much better before I was a founder. So frankly, I was traveling more, enjoying life more before a founder. So it is hard. I mean, yeah, no joke. Like it looks easier from the outside. However good you are, there will be shit to deal with when you're a founder.
Hmm.
But again, as I said, those small wins within the team, within like, now we have a small team of 9 people. It does feel amazing when you have those small wins. right? It feels really, really shitty and bad rest of the time, when you're just doing the grunt work, and there's a lot of grunt work to be done in a startup. You
Mm-hmm.
are doing, especially if you're the CEO, you're doing everything that nobody else wants to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting cease and desist letters for trademark infringement and whatnot. Like who wants to deal with those, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. You just have to deal with the shitty parts, and once in a while you will have those golden moments of customer feedback or customer review, and they love your product, and it just makes it all worth it. So yeah, I think when a customer really genuinely says, "Hey, you solved a problem for them." Like I remember 2 weeks ago, I was just in a event, and a person told me, and he came to me like, "Hey, I haven't told you this thing. Your tool I used and created a proposal in 5 minutes and sent it to a client, and I got a 5K monthly contract. Like this was an agency." I was like, "Okay,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that feels amazing." So he
That's
got the
beautiful.
money, but it's fine. He was using our tool for free for the last 6 months because initial clients we gave it for free. But it just feels amazing, right? So I think that's what makes it all worth it, that you build something which is out there in the world. People are
Mm-hmm.
using it. People are spending time on something you built.
And you're making their
Yeah.
life better.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
hopefully
on
we can
that
make it
note,
better.
like
Yeah.
I think we've like reached the top of like the momentum, and I love ending on a really good note. So that's going to be it for the pod. Tarun, thank you so much for being such a
Awesome.
great guest. I really loved the conversation. I love discussing growth hacks, so thank you again.
Same here. Thanks. Thanks for inviting me, Tim.
Yeah, stop